We are back for part 2 of our Week 5 preview. Again, this is maybe the biggest and maybe the most consequential weekend of the season, folks. And for that reason, we've broken our preview episodes up into 2 parts. Go check out part 1 after this. It's on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. We cover Bama, Georgia, USC, Illinois, TCU, Arizona State, Ohio State, Washington, and Tennessee, Mississippi State. And if you just care about 1 or 2 of those games, head to our YouTube. We've broken them out into separate game previews. It's under our game preview tab. We'll do the same tonight. And of course, you can always check out the link in the description for timestamps. This is Always Talking Ball. Tyler Nohe, Lance Barton. Real quick, as always, before we get started, make sure you subscribe on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like the video right now. And make sure you're following us on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Always Talking Ball.
Guys, I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm home alone tonight with the twins, with the kiddos. The wife is out of town. So normally the dog, I put old Nelly upstairs when we do the episode. So not only are some dogs going to be barking this weekend and some of these matchups, there might be a little pup here in the background that, throws a little bark out here every now and then. Maybe when we're giving out some of our best bets, she'll give us a bark on which one she likes, which one she don't. I just wanted a fair warning. There might be a little bark every now and then that's thrown into the episode.
Yep. All right. Let's get to our big game breakdowns. As always, sponsored by Branded Bills. Click on the link in the episode description or in the QR code in the top right of your YouTube screen. Type in the promo code Branded15 for 15% off of your order. We're both sporting our Branded Bills hats tonight. Very, very comfortable hats. They've got all kinds of colleges. They got America. They got state branded hats. Repping the Indiana here. So Branded15 for 15% off of your order. Let's start with probably the game. I know you're partial to Bama, Georgia, but this is the game that myself am just looking forward to. I've been looking forward to watching these two teams play ever since you and I saw them last year in the Big Ten championship game in Indianapolis. Oregon at Penn State, number 6 versus number 3, 7:30 on NBC. Penn State coming in as 3.5-point favorites currently right now as of Wednesday evening. It's the whiteout game, man. They finally get their primetime game as the whiteout against a really good opponent, not against, no offense, Minnesota or anybody like that. Oregon's coming to town for the whiteout game. It's going, I know Autzon's crazy. I know Oregon's been, up to Seattle. They played, in different environments. They played Ohio State a couple years ago, but that was a noon kickoff. This is going to be, I think, one of the craziest environments that Oregon will see and will have seen. Of course, that Dan Lanning seen, all of those players on the current Oregon roster have seen.
I wanted to jump in here on this because this was actually one of my nuggets that I took a deep dive on. You're right, 100%. This is the toughest road game by far, true road game that Dan Lanning has ever coached in. Since Dan Lanning's been at Oregon, the toughest road games that he's coached in the last 3 years, 2022 at Oregon State, 2023 at Texas Tech, 2023 at Washington, the game that you're referencing against Kalen DeBoer in Washington, and then at Utah, who ended up being a 5-loss team that had a pig farmer at quarterback, and last year 5-loss Michigan. That is their toughest road games. Notice all those road games I just mentioned. The only team that would even be close to what this Penn State team is Washington and Seattle and Husky Stadium that you mentioned. But let's just be real. Washington at 12:30 local kick and Seattle at Husky Stadium ain't the Penn State whiteout in Beaver Stadium that they're going to be walking into this week at night. I agree 1,000%, man. This is the toughest true road game by far that Dan Lanning has ever coached in at Oregon.
I don't know, man. Danny Cannell a couple weeks ago said that Northwestern environment that they played on at a lake with in front of 12,000 was probably the toughest environment they would play in this year.
Okay. Did he really say that?
He did.
Oh,
just a weird environment. He claimed it was a weird environment and
okay,
weird to play in front of 12,000 people, I guess.
Yeah, well, we'll ask Oregon what they think is tougher. They're playing in that or playing in Beaver after they play in Beaver Stadium this Saturday night.
Yeah, obviously the game's at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, so 4:30 Pacific. Oregon's got to travel all the way to central Pennsylvania. So that right there, crossing 3 time zones, it was well documented last year, kind of the issues that Big Ten teams had. Obviously, Ohio State came to Oregon last year, crossed 3 time zones, had trouble, and 1-point loss there. Keys to the game, I think the first one's got to be can Oregon protect Dante Moore?
Yep.
The dude has been, like we talked about Ty Simpson yesterday. Dude's been surgical when he's had time, when he's been protected by those tackles on the front line, that revamped offensive line. 75% passes. He's got his favorite guy clearly in true freshman Decory Moore. So that's a big thing right there. And then on the other side too, man, like for me, like this is where it all comes down to. It's a Drew Aller game. It's a Drew Aller game. The game we saw them play last year, they ran for nearly 300 yards between Nick Singleton and Katron Allen.
Over
And
8 yards per carry in that game.
and they still lost the game,
Yep.
45-37. And so it's Drew Aller's got to make the plays. He's got to keep, the ball safe. You got to think though that they're going to keep, leaning on that run game as they've done. He's been real wishy-washy, but the Penn State fans are out in full force talking about how we haven't played anybody, we're holding stuff back. So I got to see, can Drew Aller step up, and is this the game that he really takes the leap?
So I think it is likely that Penn State has held some stuff back so far this year. But I mean, are they just going to come out and be just a completely different style of offense? Like, no, I don't think that's going to be the case. But I mean, I do think that there are some things in the passing game that they have held back on. For Penn State on the offensive side, I mean, man, I don't disagree that, like, this is a game that Drew Aller needs to step up in. We talked about it. The bigger games that they play, he has to be better. And he has to play like one of the better quarterbacks in college football for them to win games like this. In all seriousness, I still think that, like, for me, it starts like, we could talk about Drew Aller in this game all we want. Dude, Penn State needs to stick with their bread and butter, in my opinion. Hand the rock off to Nick Singleton and Katron Allen and make Oregon stop it. Like, don't get caught up in what everybody else is saying, including us, that Drew Aller needs to be better in these big games. They need to throw for more yards and to have more completions to a wide receiver. Bro, if they line up and run for 350 yards plus in this game and run for 8 yards a carry, I don't think that this Oregon offense is as good as last year's Oregon offense. And then playing this Penn State defense in Happy Valley is a lot different, in my opinion, than playing in the Big Ten championship game on turf there in Indy. But dude, yeah, if for me, I'm lining up and seeing if that Oregon defensive front can hold up against one of the best offensive lines in college football and could stop one of the best running back duos in college football. And then I'm throwing off of that with Drew Aller.
Yeah, I don't think he needs to throw for a ton of yards. He's just, when he does throw, because they're obviously going to throw the
Like,
ball,
be
he's
efficient.
got to be effective.
Yeah, be efficient. I don't disagree.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. He needs to be efficient.
He hasn't been efficient so far this year.
No,
to be honest.
Again, agreed. And Dante Moore has. Dante Moore's been fantastic. On the flip side of that, like, well, hang on, one more thing on the Penn State offense. Hey, man, you went to the transfer portal and brought in 3 like dudes. And so far, that's been their 3 leading receivers: Trevor Pena, Devontae Ross, and Kyron Hudson. That's been their best receivers so far. So, again, these are bigger games. We talked about this with a couple of the other bigger matchups. In these games, your best players need to step up and be big in games like this. So I can't wait to see what Penn State's wide receivers look like, because I do think Oregon's got some solid DBs and is really good as far as defending the pass. On the other side, like, dude, Dante Moore has been lights out so far. You gave the stats a minute ago, the 75% completion percentage, the touchdown to interception ratio. He's been super efficient. He's literally doing exactly what every other quarterback has done in this Will Stein offense, dating back to his days at UTSA, and now every year he's been at Oregon. Like, literally, we saw Bo Nix do it. We saw Dylan Gabriel do it, and Dante Moore is just, next man up to run that offense, and is super efficient. But, dude, like, do you think that, like, a young Decorian Moore and the Gary Bryant Jr. in this wide receiver core, like, dude, Penn State's got some dudes, man, in the secondary. Like, do you think that they can just line up on the road and just sling it all over the place against Penn State?
Absolutely not.
I don't think so either, man. I don't think so either. And the other part of this, Oregon did a really good job spending in the offseason with Isaiah World, transfer offensive tackle, who everybody's talking about being a high NFL draft pick, Emmanuel Pregnon, who they brought in a guard from USC, and Alex Harkey, who they brought in from Texas State. So man, again, man, I will eat these words, and Oregon fans, give it to me if I do. Isaiah World at left tackle and Alex Harkey at right tackle. Played at Texas State and Nevada. They're going into Happy Valley at night in that atmosphere and trying to communicate when you can't even hear yourself think in a
I
Penn
mean,
State whiteout.
second to Tiger Stadium and maybe even Beaver Stadium during the whiteout might be the most crazy atmosphere in college football.
Yeah, I get it. I don't disagree. I don't disagree. And dude, doing my homework on this game, you know what's strange? We all talked about dude, us and everybody else. We just glazed over Mekhi Hughes, glazed on him all off season. But he's like their sixth leading rusher.
I know. I don't know
He's
who he
hardly
was.
carrying the football.
He's like
Uh,
Jaden Knott.
yeah, dude, for real.
Yeah.
Yeah, him. It's a good point. Jay Nott at Oklahoma and
Yeah.
Mekhi Hughes at Oregon. Like both dudes, just like are nowhere to be found, buried on the depth chart. It seems like.
Yeah.
Maybe they break him out in this game. I don't know because again, Oregon hasn't. I mean, again, they've played better competition than what Penn State's played, but so they haven't played great competition either. But Jaden Lamar and De'Aaron Hill Jr. and Noah Whittington. That's their three.
Deere Hill Jr. is fast.
He's a stud. He looks like an Oregon tailback and an Oregon athlete with the ball in his hands. No doubt about it. But you know, it really comes down to in the Oregon offense, like they're going to want to run the football, but again, Penn State's strength of their team is the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
Like especially on the defensive side with the nine Dennis Sutton and Zariah Fisher and Zane Durant. And you know, we make jokes, man, talking about the Purdue transfers and stuff. How about some of these North Carolina transfers?
Yeah.
I mean, Penn State's leading tackler so far, and their green dot linebacker is Amari Campbell.
Mhm.
And they've got two other studs in Tony Rojas and Dom DeLuca, but Amari Campbell's been their better linebacker. So for Oregon, they need to be able, in my opinion, to be able to run the football, to be able to take the pressure off of Dante Moore in that pass game. Because I think when you get in a road game like this, in an environment like this, then all of a sudden you're just in shotgun every play, trying to throw the ball all over the yard, and you can't hear yourself think and stuff. That's when you see it, dude. It's an epidemic across college football. The amount of procedure penalties, like the false starts and the 5-man in the backfields and different things going on that happen pre-snap because of just all the chaos that's going on in these environments. Like, what silences that is lining up and running the football. My problem with that is dude, I just don't know that Penn State's defense is going to allow them just to line up and run the football.
Yeah.
I think Penn State can have success running the football with their two backs against this Oregon defense. And so, yeah, I mean, that's just kind of where it all starts and ends for me. I just think Penn State's got the advantage along the line of scrimmage. You got anything else you want to add on this one?
Oh, we got to talk coaching. I mean,
That's a good
it's
point.
a big matchup here. I mean, obviously James Franklin has his known struggles against top 10 opponents. He's 4-20 all time against top 10.
Dan Lanning, is
Lanning,
Dan Lanning an elite big game coach?
he's struggled a little bit. I mean, he won that game against Ohio
Yep.
State at home last year,
Yep.
but he's lost, some big games, some championship games he's been favored in. Obviously, that Rose Bowl last year wasn't a good look either against the eventual national champions. But the matchup I'm more interested in is Jim Knowles matching up with Will Stein for the third time in like 365 days.
That's such a great coordinator matchup, bro. That's two of the best, man. Two of the best.
Will Stein and Dylan Gabriel ate him up in Autzen last year. I mean, 360 some passing yards, right? Knowles made some adjustments, obviously, to jump out to a 34-0 lead, shut them out in the first half.
No, remember that was Ryan Day that did that for the defense.
Of course, yeah. Jim Knowles, he wasn't calling the plays. And so, Jim Knowles obviously moves to Penn State, and he's going up against Will Stein's offense again with no Dylan Gabriel, with really Decory Moore, Gary Bryant Jr. I mean, those receivers, like we talked about, they lost a lot of receivers.
Malik Benson, who transferred from Alabama, then transferred to Florida State, now is at Oregon. He's been solid for them earlier this year too.
Yeah, it's hard for me.
Do you think that they're seriously? Do you think those three wide receivers, AJ Harris at Penn State, and overall their secondary in general? Like I did honestly, I do this with every one of these big matchups. I go through wide receivers versus like the DBs, O line versus the D line. Like we all like to talk about like quarterback versus quarterback, but they're literally never on the field against each other.
Right.
Like who wins their matchup? Like who do I think has the advantage in their matchup? And dude, like You tell me, where do you think Oregon has the advantage in this matchup?
Quarterback.
Yes, I agree.
That's about. I mean, maybe I know Penn State spent a lot of money on their receivers, and maybe the receivers are equal, right? But
No,
yeah,
I
there's
mean, I'm sorry.
not.
I mean, like not Penn State's wide receivers versus Oregon's wide receivers. I mean,
Oh yeah. I got you.
Oregon's wide receivers versus Penn State's DBs, like who they're actually going against, and like Penn State's offensive line versus Oregon's defensive front. Like Penn State's running game. Let's go there. Penn State's running game versus
Yeah.
Oregon defensive front. Like I just, and I think Oregon is going to be a playoff team. I think if these two teams played later in the year, because Oregon's a very young team this year, very talented team. I think Oregon is going to be a significantly better football team like later in the year and come playoff time than they are this week.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to delay it anymore. Obviously, by the way I'm talking about this game, you can see which way I'm leaning. And I'm taking Penn State in this game to get it done. I'm not going to join the narrative of that James Franklin. I know he can't win big games, whatever like that. No, I think James Franklin gets a big win in this game against Oregon and the Ducks at home. And I'm making it a best bet. I've got Penn
Ooh.
State -3 at -115 as a best bet. I think that Penn State's offensive line and running game is going to be too much. I think that Penn State in general on the line of scrimmage on the offensive line and the defensive line are going to control this game. And I think they get it done and take care of business against the Ducks Saturday night.
I'm getting shades of us walking to Lucas Oil Stadium last year, and you convincing me to bet Penn State against the Ducks last year.
Well, when we were walking through that crowd, man, with all those Penn State fans, they're getting fired up doing the whatever that chant. What's the Seven
We
Nation
are.
Army? Yeah, and then
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
that and the "We are Penn State."
Yeah.
I looked at you and I said, "Penn State money
Money.
line, bro," and I cost
I
you
almost got there. Almost got
cost
there.
me and you both some money.
Um, yeah, I mean, I definitely am leaning Penn State in this
Oh,
game.
man.
If you made me bet it for sure, I would take Penn State -3.5. But it's really, really tough for me to make James Franklin and Drew Aller and those guys a best bet. So I'm not going to quite do it yet. But I mean, I don't blame you in the least. Like as we were talking here, I'm thinking to myself, like, man, why am I not betting this? So I do like Penn State in this game to get the win and probably the cover too. So I just think it's gonna be tough for Oregon. Like it's just tough environment.
Yep.
Michigan last year against a 5-loss team, afternoon kick doesn't really compare like this. I mean, it's gonna be a different deal on Saturday
Yeah.
night. So
Yep.
grab your two TVs, get to NBC, get to ABC, split screen there, YouTube, multi-view, all that stuff to watch both those fantastic matchups at night at the same time. Let's head back down to Mississippi. Number 4 LSU at number 13 Ole Miss.
The SIP.
3:30 ABC. Mississippi has moved to a -1.5 favorite after opening up as a -1.5 dog. So kind of crossed through zero there. Money's coming in.
Do we think odds makers for the first time saw Landry Kiffin?
Possibly.
All right, keep
Okay,
going.
with Weeks there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Landry Kiffin going live on like making it Instagram official with
Yep.
LSU linebacker Whit Weeks. It's wild, by the way.
That's just, I mean, impeccable timing, just like her dad. So,
Can't wait for the Netflix series at the end of this year with that on there.
yeah, I mean, if you look at this game and you look at the spread, this is supposed to be a bigger and a tighter game than the primetime game, Bama, Georgia. I mean, you got a tighter spread, you got higher ranked teams, all that stuff.
And
Obviously, and then you got the storied rivalry too, the Magnolia Bowl here we're talking about.
and weird stuff happens in this game. Like think about the last 2 years. I think
Yeah.
there was about 900 points scored in the matchup 2 years ago when Jaden Daniels was still there and Jackson Dart and the game at Ole Miss, and Ole Miss ended up winning that game, and just a billion points scored.
It was like 55-49 or something.
Dude, it was unbelievable. It was basketball on grass, bro.
Yeah.
There was defense was optional in that game.
Yeah.
And then last year you had I can't remember if it went overtime or not. Either way, LSU, like you said, never led in the ball game until
It was overtime.
okay, yeah, LSU never led in the ball game until they won in overtime.
Mhm.
Crazy game game down in Baton Rouge.
Big comeback, yeah.
Yeah, and dude, this is a huge rival. Like I remember back in college, I had a few friends from both sides of this rival, and dude, yeah, they would tell you back then Like some of my Ole Miss buddies was like, dude, I hate LSU more than I hate Mississippi State, and stuff. Like, yeah, I mean, and some LSU fans would tell you, like, I hope, honestly, I hope Bama, just their whole program dies. But after that, it would be Ole Miss, is what a
Yeah.
lot of them would say. So, yeah, this is a very big rivalry.
Yeah. Any word in Caden Durham?
No, man, I haven't. I've been checking it. That's honestly why I've got my phone right here looking it up to
Yeah.
see like what's going on there. Like I haven't seen much on this at the moment.
Yeah, that's going to be a big key for them. Obviously, if he can't go, like, can they run the ball effectively? And even with him,
And what
obviously,
about
Brian
Nussmeyer with
Kelly.
this? What about Nussmeyer with his torso injury that we've heard about now that he's been dealing with this year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to like say it's just sketchy that it's coming out right now
Yeah.
after their offense has struggled. But like I said, Brian Kelly he's been in question by the media immediately after wins. Why is the running game struggling? Why is the running game struggling? Right. Um, so obviously they got to run the ball effectively, and then for me, one of the big things I'm excited to watch is can they stop or contain Trinidad Chambliss? Because you remember last year, obviously their defense improved last year, um, but it was still like in the 40s, 50s under Blake Baker's first year. But Jalen Milroe absolutely tore them up on the ground
Yep.
last year, and that's all I can think of.
Yep.
I'm watching Trinidad Chambliss play, throw the ball, run the ball. He probably throws the ball better in Lane Kiffin's offense than Jalen Milroe did, and he runs the ball just fine coming from Ferris State. So that's something I mean, that'll be the true test of LSU's defense, right? It is like, okay, they got a running quarterback now. They've definitely improved this year. Have they improved because maybe Clemson and Florida's offenses aren't as good as everyone, including us, thought? Maybe. But this will be a true test because, like, Ole Miss's offense is for real.
I agree. There's certain offenses in college football. You and I talk about this every year. The elite defenses usually get lit up by the best offenses, like the elite offenses. They have really good quarterback play, really good play callers. And I mean, even back like the Nick Saban Alabama defenses, like the Johnny Manziels and the Deshaun Watsons, Clemson's, and different teams like that. You see Kirby Smart in Georgia when they play like the best offenses in college football. You saw it last year when they played against Jackson Dart and Ole Miss. You saw it a few weeks ago when they played against Tennessee in that game in Knoxville. So I agree. To me, that's where this game starts, bro. If LSU, all the money that they spend in the offseason in the transfer portal, especially on the defensive side of the ball, all of the pieces that they brought in on defense, this is where they're going to have to step up, man, and be big. They've got to be able to slow down. I don't think you stop and shut down Ole Miss's offense, but I'm with you. Like if LSU's defense is as good as what I think it is, they will slow down Ole Miss a little bit. And to me, slowing a team like this down is holding them under 30 points. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, it's just weird. For some reason, in some of these bigger games, Lane gets a little weird. He gets
Yeah.
weird with his play calling.
Yeah.
Like they had a tremendous offense last year too. And then I know they went to LSU, but they still were playing against that defense and they put up 23 points in regulation. And I remember
Yeah.
watching that game and trying to figure out what were they doing in the second half and the fourth quarter with some of their play calling. Like he either gets up or like he just gets into the motion where he just kind of runs first and second down and tries to throw it on third down. And I think he's got to break open the bag early in this game.
And if it again, Trinidad Chambliss, I mean, dude, he's coming from a D2 school. I know he's been so good so far this year and so much fun to watch. But like he's never seen the type of athletes that he's going to see in this game on the defensive side of the ball for LSU. I mean, he hasn't seen that yet so far this year against the teams that he's played against. No offense to Arkansas. I mean, they can't stop a nosebleed on defense. And I mean, this LSU defense is one of the better defenses in college football, but I don't disagree with you. It is going to be interesting to see, like, is it more the Clemson is booty on offense and Florida can't get first downs and they're trash on offense, or is it more LSU's defense is legit? I think both things can be true. I do think this LSU defense is legit. But like what worries me though is that it's just strange to say this is this LSU offense. Do they break out in this game? Because Ole Miss got my attention last week. I know people's going to say Tulane. Tulane's a really solid football team.
Yep.
And they were very good offensively so far up to this point. And dude, Ole Miss just stoned them. last week defensively. If Ole Miss is more of the version of that on defense than they are the version they showed against Taylor Green and Bobby Petrino in Arkansas when they couldn't hardly get a stop. It depends on which version they are.
Yeah.
If they're the defense that played against Taylor Green in Arkansas and that type of team, or are they the team that played against Tulane? Because if Ole Miss can slow LSU down, then they absolutely can win this football game. And obviously, odds makers think they can because again, they're favorite. Honestly, I was surprised to see Ole Miss favored. Are you? I'm curious. Are you Are you a little?
I think so. A lot of the power ratings I've seen have them favored by 3.5 or 4.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, but the power ratings always love Ole Miss. I mean, especially they just, the kind of Oregon, some power ratings have that game as a pick 'em, right? So,
Yeah.
um, I'm curious to see if LSU can play from behind,
Yeah,
if
because
if Ole Miss gets up on them.
it just doesn't make any sense. This LSU offense hasn't been any better, man. I mean, we talked about them all offseason. I really thought the running game was going to be better again this year than what it has been up to this point. It really hasn't. But obviously, all that they've got at that wide receiver position, Nuss in the passing game, definitely thought they were going to be able to sling it around the yard. They haven't yet. Again, is this the game that they do break out, or is it more of like this is what they are this year? They're just not as good. They're not as good in the. I don't think that's the case, though, dude. I do think that they are better than what they've shown in the passing game. I agree with you. Trinidad Chambliss in the run game from the quarterback run game for what we saw LSU last year. You got to think Blake Baker, though, man, with the talent that they brought in. They've got better players on the edges. You've got Harold Perkins now at the star position that you can kind of use him a little bit as a kind of a spy or to be able to because he did do that against who was it? I think it was against Klubnik that they showed that Perkins was spying a little bit a couple times on those plays. And do the matchup with Ole Miss's receivers with Deshaun Stribling and Daquan Wright and Caden Lee against those new DBs that the LSU brought in that's been playing lights out so far this year. That's going to be a fun matchup, bro.
Yeah.
That's going to be a fun matchup. Do we know anything at all? Is Simmons is he even possibly? Have you
I
seen
mean, they made
anything?
an announcement on Twitter or on X that Trinidad James was starting the game. I'm thinking here, like I've seen him play. Like I don't think you need. It's not to the point where you need to make an announcement,
I
right? But
agree. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. He should be. I mean, Simmons got Wally pipped at this
yeah,
point. At
I
this
mean,
point, until
Simmons
Chambliss
might
shows
be great.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah, until Sham was. And I'm also interested to see, man, K'Wan Lacey, the transfer from Mizzou, tailback that Ole Miss brought in. He's a dude. He is. So this is going to be a fun one, man. In my opinion, like all these big matchups we got this weekend, I'm kind of with you that this could be the most fun game of the entire weekend between these two teams.
if
Uh,
LSU gets this one, they're set up really nice.
I agree. I'm gonna let you pick first on this one.
Yeah, game picks. Man, I again, a lot of these games I'm waffling back and forth on this.
Same.
I'm not gonna make a best bet in this game. It's too tough. But if I were to pick a team to win this game, I'm gonna take Ole Miss. I just think that being at home, I think they get it done. Um, I do think Chambliss can really use his legs on the ground. I just really think that I think LSU is going to be able to contain the run a little better, like you talked about at the beginning of the preview. But I just think he's going to be able to make enough plays. He's going to be that guy. Like obviously, we were talking about all these SEC quarterbacks, and we are talking about Austin Simmons in the offseason, and just out of nowhere, some dude from D2, Fair State comes and lights up the SEC, and it's going to put everybody to shame who says, "Oh, it's too tough to play in the SEC because it just means more." And yeah, this dude from Fair State can come in and light up the world, right? So I'm going to take Ole Miss to win the game.
Man, I've waffled back and forth on this one too. You just hear me now. I'm stuttering, even trying
Yeah,
to tell you who I'm going to pick. And I've got to give a pick, and I'm going to go with LSU's defense, bro. I think that LSU's defense is going to be able to slow Ole Miss down, and I do think that LSU's offense will look more what we've thought they were going to look this year. in this game, and it'll be an extremely close game, back and forth, a weird one, a strange one again. And I think LSU finds a way and gets it done in a very, very close, highly contested. I'm not going to say the word that you think I'm going to say. Game. So I'll take LSU in a close one. It's not a best bet. Honestly, it could go either way, but I got to give a pick. So I'm gonna take LSU to win.
Big game down in Fayetteville at noon on ABC. Number 22, Notre Dame at Arkansas. Lines ticked all the way down to 4.5. Notre Dame's coming in as 4.5 point favorites now.
Dude,
Dare I say it?
I saw it get to 3.5 on a couple of places, and
Yeah,
then it got to
3.5,
4.
probably a little juice on it. Yeah,
So now it's up to 4.5.
yeah, back up to 4.5 now. So, dare I say it? Is this Sam Pittman's last stand?
No, I think he's gonna be done after this year, bro. Whether he
Whether
would,
he wins or loses this game doesn't
yeah,
matter.
they'd have to go on a serious run. Like they've got so many. Like if you look at their schedule, they've got so many tough games the rest of the year. Losing to Memphis like that, like that's a big deal around those parts too. Like Arkansas is like right there on the. I mean, literally Memphis is on the Arkansas line there. I mean, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Arkansas, those teams, they take that serious losing to Memphis. And so yeah, I mean, obviously, it would help if they beat Notre Dame and then go on a run.
Yeah,
But this is obviously a game. We know that the Hog faithful there. This is a big game for them bringing in Notre Dame. I mean, any of these SEC teams, man, getting a big non-conference game against the Notre Dames or the Ohio States or the Michigans, bringing teams like that into your place on your home field that you don't really ever get to see come play you at home like that is a really big deal. Uh, and I mean, for Arkansas to be able to win this game, stay in this game, and win this game. I told my in-laws this about them when they're big Memphis fans and Memphis grads. Before the game, they were asking me about, did I think could Memphis beat Arkansas? I said, depends on which version of Taylor Green shows up. He's got a. I've come to think now that the football player Taylor Green has a split personality. That's what he is. He will look like literally close your eyes and you put him in a Texas uniform and put the horns on his helmet and he looks like Vince Young gliding around out there. Same size, same type of way he runs,
yeah,
same makes all the same plays, whatever. And then you close your eyes and you look out there and he's doing things like Peyton Thorne did at Auburn last year or something. Just like he can't wait to make a catastrophic mistake and just give you the football. Like he just literally his whole goal on this possession is how quickly can I give you the football to just destroy my team here in this spot? Just unbelievable that he continues to do it too. But if you get the good version of him, the
yeah,
one that we saw against Ole Miss a couple of weeks ago, we saw it multiple times last year too. Bro, he is ridiculous to stop. There's very few dudes out there in college football that can do the things that he can do. He can make every throw on the field, every single throw, the big time NFL throws, he can make them. And he runs like a freaking antelope around the field. But again, I just don't, dude, I don't trust him whatsoever. The hard part about that is, though, is when you're trying to trust against it, it's like, well, if I get that good version that shows up, we could be in trouble.
yeah, yeah.
But what I watched Arkansas for 2 weeks ago, is I watched a good bit of the game against Ole Miss, and I watched a good bit of the game against Memphis. Bro, defense is optional. They just don't have dudes, man. They don't have I'm not trying to be like, those people that say, oh, he's SEC fast or he's SEC strong or he's SEC big. Bro, they ain't got SEC dudes on defense. They just don't. Like some of these teams have different type of cats on their defense. And I know Notre Dame hasn't played well defensively this year, but they've got more types of athletes like that on their defense, like significantly more than what Arkansas has. And so I just don't think that Arkansas's defense is going to be able to hold up. They need Taylor Green to play an A game, and they need Notre Dame to turn the football over multiple times, and they need Notre Dame's defense, what we've seen these first few weeks, to be the defense that they actually are. And just frank, let's call it what it is. Notre Dame's defense has been booty so far this year. Would you agree?
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So give me your thoughts before I give a game pick.
I mean, Notre Dame's their defense has been Swiss cheese, and I can tell you for matter of fact, surfing the internet and the interwebs and all that, that Notre Dame fans are not happy at all with Chris Ash.
Why would they be after what they've
And
had with Al Golden?
exactly. And uh, this is not the offense to face when you're trying to figure stuff out on defense. And I don't know what's happening. I mean, it's a lot of the same guys. The coverage has been awful. Like
Mhm.
they're like in the 115, like and like pass coverage, and it's the same guy. I mean, I know Leonard Moore was out against Purdue, and Adon Schuler was out for the first half. You know all that stuff, but
Is
um,
Leonard Moore back this game?
I think he's back this game. It's just it's a must win for Notre Dame. I mean, Marcus Freeman told him before that Purdue game, like last thing he said, "Don't forget you're 0-2." Like this, you got. I mean, and if
Every
there's any
game's a
coach
must
out
win
there,
now.
if there's any coach out there who can obviously bring them back and bring them back from the dead and win out and do it's Marcus Freeman, right? He did it last year. So, but like the defense is not creating any sort of havoc like they have last year. Like havoc obviously is a stat, interceptions, tackles for loss, sacks, all that stuff. I mean, they are third to last in the nation in defensive havoc created.
That was the number one thing that jumped off the page for me, bro, again in the Miami game. And then again in the Texas A&M game. Like I just didn't see any just true difference makers along their defensive front to get after the quarterback like what I watched last year with them.
Yeah.
What's the guy? I'm sorry, man. You know me. I'm terrible at. I butcher a lot of these guys. Give me the name of the defensive lineman. I think or linebacker. But Bubber. What's his? What's his?
Boubacar Traore.
There you go. Give
Yeah.
one more. Like, hang on. Boubacar Traore.
Yep.
Look at me. All right,
Yep.
Boubacar Traore. That dude is a stud.
Yeah. I
And
mean, they've like you said, they've got studs. Gabriel Rubio is really good. Kingston Viliamuasa in the linebacker position. I mean, they've got guys. All the secondary has names.
yeah.
They're just not performing to their talent level.
Do you think Marcus Freeman, like if this game starts going south a little bit defensively again, does he take any of the reins of calling the defense? Like, is that something that goes on early?
I don't know.
Like what we saw Ryan Day do with what's his face? The
Jim Knowles.
no, yeah. Dude. Oh man, if there's any Ohio State fans that listen to us, they probably hate us right now. Brian Hartline a few years
Yeah.
ago, whatever, when he started calling plays and then Ryan Day ended up taking back the reins. I don't know, man. But hey, if you're Notre
He's
Dame,
going to do whatever he can to win.
yeah. If you're Notre Dame, like again, Arkansas's defense is awful. So whatever you really want to do, it all starts with they need to hand the ball off to Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love. Notice the guy's name I said first in that equation just now.
Right. Yeah.
Jadarian Price looks like he literally is taking our running backs list, and all the Notre Dame fans that trashed us for not putting Jadarian Price in our top 12, forgive us. We were wrong.
Yeah.
He should have
Yeah.
absolutely been in our top 12. You guys were right. Jadarian Price is an absolute stud and is a complete back. And for me, you're on the road. You're going to be in this really hostile environment. Hand the rock off to those two dudes. Run the football. Run clock. Keep Taylor Green and Arkansas's offense and Bobby Petrino's offense off the field. And then after that, play action with CJ Carr and do some work with your receivers. Because again, this Arkansas defense is Swiss cheese.
Yeah. Traditionally in this spot at a noon kick, road teams at noon, right? Traditionally, Notre Dame's gone on the road. They play, Pitt or whoever on the road. They perform really well at noon. Save for, 2023 when they went to Clemson and played at noon. They lost that game 31-23. But I look for them to come out focused. I mean, we're still talking about a team too that like lost to Miami basically on a last second field goal and lost to A&M, about on a botched extra point, a last second touchdown. So
Yeah.
they're again, even with all their faults and their defense continuing to be Swiss cheese, like it's they're right there in a lot of those games with a lot of those teams that we've got ranked in our top 5.
Yep. Man, I do think Arkansas is going to score. I just think that Petrino is too good of an offensive coordinator, too good of a play caller.
Yeah.
And Taylor Green, again, will make just really good plays and some really good throws. You will, trust me, watching this game, you will see him rolling to his left or doing something and contort his body and throw a dart 40 yards to the opposite sideline to where the dude doesn't even look open. And you're like, oh my, what a throw. and then 2 plays later, he'll be running and nobody be around him. He'll just drop the ball or something. Like, it's just, dude, it's unbelievable. Like, I've never seen anything like it, man. I really haven't. Like, as talented as he really is.
Yeah.
It's got to be
Yeah.
frustrating for Bobby Petrino and them for as talented and as good as he is.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm going to give a game pick, and I'm going to give a best bet. I took Notre Dame at -4 when it got to 4. If Notre Dame is anywhere near the team that I thought they were before this season, that you thought they were
Yeah.
before this season, I know they lost 2 games, but they lost to 2 teams that are obviously are ranked in our current like top 6 or whatever it is in our
Mhm.
ATB top 12 rankings. And I think that they go into Fayetteville, take care of business. They run the rock with Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love. I do think the defense will do enough to slow Arkansas down a little bit. They'll probably give up some points, give up some yards. I just don't think Arkansas can stop Notre Dame, bro. And I think Arkansas will give the football up a couple of times to Notre Dame and give them some extra possessions. So I'll take the Irish -4 as a best bet and to win and cover in Fayetteville.
Okay. I do think the Irish will come out on top. My best bet, though, in the game, obviously, I gave it out 3 days ago. Took the over 62.5. It's up to 64.5, I think, still. And it could be just really similar to that Ole Miss game where I think it was 41-35, right? Just nobody really stopping each other for a while. Ole Miss, maybe Notre Dame gets a couple stops there at the end. Again, turnovers are going to play a big part. Don't forget, CJ Carr going on the road once again. He's still a redshirt freshman, so he may turn the ball over a little bit too. Crowd's going to be hyped up and everything. I think it should be a good game. Obviously, the spread tells you that too. But yeah, I mean, I just think points galore. So I'm taking the over 62.5 there. And I would still take the over 64.5.
Yeah.
All right. Say down to Kyle Field. Auburn at number 9, Texas A&M. Texas A&M comes in at 6.5-point favorites, 3:30 on ESPN. Just a brutal, brutal scheduling draw for Auburn. I mean, I can't even. They're still reeling from that 2026 to 2029 SEC schedule coming out, and they feel like they got screwed again. I mean, it's just awful, man. They go on the road to play Oklahoma last week. They get absolutely, we'll say it, screwed by the refs. And then you got to go on the road to Kyle Field against a team that had a bye last week, who's in the top 10. I mean, that's tough. That's tough
Yeah.
for any team. I mean, Auburn's a really good team this year. That's going to be tough for them. For Auburn, can they hit some of those shots that they took last week? We talked about them taking shots down the field, especially to Cam Coleman, who, I mean, he's a really tough guy to guard. He's going to be tough for especially that A&M secondary to guard. Can they hit some of those? Because they hit some last week, but Arnold, I mean, he missed a couple. There was a couple that he missed that really could have changed that game. Arnold's also got to be able to do more than just that. And he's also got to get rid of the ball.
Yeah, he's got a problem right now, man, with the one read. He takes his first read, and if it's not there, he just sits there and, like, if the run is not there, he just holds it.
Yeah.
That's what he was doing against Oklahoma. And it's just, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, he either needs to one or the other. Like, if he can't go through his reads, he just needs to try to be an athlete and take off. And the biggest difference to me in Oklahoma, the 2 biggest differences in this game for Auburn on this, like, as far as the difference in team from A&M and Oklahoma, is Oklahoma is elite along their defensive front and along their, like, just overall their front and 7, which is why they had like double-digit sacks against Auburn. A&M is, I mean, they're solid along the defensive front, and they've got Cassius Howell, who's one of your better pass rushers in the SEC. But overall, as a defensive front, they're just not. They're nowhere near as good as Oklahoma.
They're not going to overwhelm you.
No, they're not. Like, they're not going to dominate you in the running game. They're not going to overwhelm you overall, period, whether it be tackles for a loss in the run game or sacks getting after you in the passing game. The biggest difference, though, is Oklahoma's offensive line is not very good. Again, it's definitely better than what it was last year. A&M's offensive line might be the best in the SEC, the Maroon Goons. I mean, they brought all 5 starters. They had 2 or 3 other guys that had started significant amount of games so far at the P4 level at A&M. So, I mean, they're really good along their offensive line. And Auburn did a really good job, in my opinion, of, like, they did a good thing. Now, I know Mateer broke his hand and stuff, like, apparently at the 9-minute mark in the first quarter. Amazing that he still played. But still, Auburn was able to get some pressure on him. And we've seen Marcel Reed so far. When he has time and he's got a clean pocket, he can light you up with those receivers. But when the pocket starts collapsing a little bit and they starts getting pressure, those feet get a little happy and he's not as accurate. I mean, he's overall like his like completion percentage and stuff's not great.
It's like
Uh,
58%.
yeah, it's not good. But
I think it was under 50 against the Notre Dame game. They just had so many big shots, and honestly, they weren't deep shots. If you watch that game, crossing patterns to Mario Craver, and Craver taking 80 yards to the house.
Well, dude, as a team, they right now, as a team collectively, they're averaging like 8 yards after the catch as a team. And Mario Craver is like, dude, it's ridiculous. It's like
Yeah,
around 20 yards per like after the catch or whatever. It's
yeah,
just ridiculous. And you're right. Like you said it best after the Notre Dame game. Nobody upgraded a certain position group in the offseason through the transfer portal better than what A&M did their wide receiver core. That's the biggest difference with this year's A&M team and past year's A&M teams that everybody wants to sit there and say 8-4 A&M. This A&M team's different. They've got better wide receivers. They're better along their offensive line. The issue's been, which side of the ball we didn't think would be an issue for them. It's been that defense, man.
yeah. I'm interested to see what they've done in the past 2 weeks with that bye. They're not going to fix that defense, I don't think. But like, what have they done to where they can just touch it up a little bit and
Yep.
just kind of get through week to week on that defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, I agree. But so Auburn's defense, they've got to be able to stop the run. They've got to, man. Like I know in any game, of course you need to stop the run, but like they've got to be it because like we know Le'Veon Moss and Amari Daniels and Reuben Owens and that running game, even with Marcel Reed in the running game with that offensive line, they're going to want to run the football and then
Yeah.
yeah,
You get inside the 5-yard line, and Le'Veon Moss, give the ball 3 times, like, he barely has carries where he loses yards. So,
yep.
you get him inside the 5-yard line with that offensive line, like, very likely gonna be a red zone touchdown.
And see, I do think Auburn's defense is talented enough and good enough to keep them in this game. They did it against Oklahoma. I think they can do it in this game too. Uh, they've got to prevent the explosive play with KC Concepcion and Mario Craver, and then they've got to be able to hold their own in the running game. I just, man, until I see it though, I got to see Jackson Arnold, man, like stand back there and make throws, dude. I've got to see it. And up to this point, like we haven't. I just haven't.
Yeah.
Like again, he made a couple of decent throws, but like I was talking to one of my buddies that's a big Auburn fan. I said, "Have you seen him yet? Drop back." And he's surveying. Here I am I'm like I'm a quarterback here. It's just surveying the field. Like he sees
Yeah.
his first read. It's not there. There's a second read. And also, do you ever see him throw a damn thing over the middle of the field?
Nope.
Never. Which normally means that's a quarterback that doesn't trust himself. And the easiest thing to do is just throw it up outside the numbers. And like that tells me he's not super confident in what he's
Yeah.
doing. Also, Horatio Fields, one of their better wide receivers that so far this year, the transfer from Wake is like looks like he's done either for the year or for a while for Auburn. So that's a tough loss. So you're going to see a lot more Malcolm Simmons in the game. So last thing, do you think Auburn has success in the running game? Because with the Jackson Arnold problems, they've got to be able to run the football. You're just not going to do that against Oklahoma. Most teams aren't, but I think you can against what we've seen so far from A&M. Like I think Auburn can run the football against them because I do like Auburn's offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, I think Notre Dame came out obviously with a plan to run the ball after that Miami game, and I think they ran it fairly well, but they contained Love for the most part, and Jadarian Price kind of had a breakout game, but I think they contained their running game for the most part. CJ Carr didn't really run it all. They were trying to do, the Wildcat and all that stuff, but I do think, this is a game where obviously Arnold's got to use his legs. They got to use it early, I think.
Yeah.
And again, it's the same story as last week. I mean, freaking deja vu. You got to take some early shots, try to get that crowd out of the game. It's like I don't think Auburn's running game is good enough to run the ball down A&M's throat to take the crowd out of the game. I think you got to take some deep shots because that's where your strength is on the outside with Malcolm Simmons and Perry Thompson and Cam Coleman. Get some big gains right off the bat to kind of, quiet that crowd down.
And you know how you do that? You got to be able to run the football. If you can run the ball and get that defense where they have to commit more people in the box, then you can start taking some shots.
And some people take shots to set up the run.
That's true. Good point. All right, game pick. Who you got?
I'm going to take A&M to win the game. 6.5. I don't know if I'd touch it right now. I mean, these. I think Auburn can keep it close for. I mean, they kept it close. If not for a safety, they would have covered last week. We're happy about that safety, right? We had Oklahoma, so.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, but I think same kind of situation. A 3:30 start on the road. Kind of a second. Like a lot of times, when they play back-to-back road games, they're usually not as against teams that are both in the top 10, but back-to-back road games, you kind of figure something out, get your schedule going. It's kind of a familiar thing for those couple of weeks, but um, I'm just going to play it safe, and I'm going to take A&M to win the game. I'm not going to touch the spread at all. A&M to win the game.
I got you. So from a handicapping standpoint, you alluded to it earlier. What is there anything that sets up better than this? You got a team coming
No.
off a bye.
Yeah.
Auburn playing a tough, physical, hard-nosed game against a really physical team like Oklahoma on the road. I mean, man, they just lost their beloved Bruce Pearl, and they're losing Horatio Fields in the
Yeah.
an injury. Just not a lot going right for him this week, man. And like, I just don't understand why I wouldn't back Texas A&M minus 6.5 here. And I'm not going to do it. I'm taking A&M to win the game. Just because I need to see Jackson Arnold prove it to me that he can go on the road in a hostile environment with a ton of pressure on him and actually make enough plays that helps his team win the football game, as opposed to being a reason why his team can't win the game.
Mhm.
Because they're really good around him. The defense is playing well. Wide receivers are making plays down the field. You're running the football well. I need to see QB1 for Auburn make plays to win a game like this against a really good football team in a tough environment. Until I see it, I'm not taking them. So I take A&M to win the game, but it's not a best bet.
3:30 on Peacock. I think everyone has Peacock now, right? I mean,
Yeah, I
everybody got
asked Emily the
streaming
other day. I
services.
said, "Hey, do we still keep Peacock for Love after we got done watching Love Island?" And shout out Love Island, by the way. If you don't
Yep.
watch it, that's
Yep.
fine. Like you can take my man card all you want. That's a heck of a show. Uh, I got you watching Love Island now
Oh yeah.
too.
Yep.
Uh, so yeah, we still got Peacock because last week the
Okay.
Hoosiers in Illinois, started there because they don't. NBC ain't kicking the Irish off at first.
Can't do
There,
that.
yeah, can't do
Not till
that.
the blowout.
Yeah, can't do that. So yeah, Emily said that we still had Peacock, and I said, "Atta girl." So I just turned it right on there. But yeah, who we got? Who's at 3:30 on Peacock?
3:30 on Peacock, number 11, Indiana at Iowa.
The
And
Hoosiers
Indiana
again. Okay.
they climbed all the way up to plus or a minus 7.5 point favorites on the road in Kinnick. When this is a game kind of before the season started, we were like, okay, that could be a trap spot there for Indiana coming off that Illinois game where we thought they would win, but not as handily as they did. And it still could be a trap spot for them. Obviously, they got a bye coming up next week, and then they got to go to Oregon.
Yep.
So that could be a really good game. Legendary defensive coordinator Phil Parker, one guy we have really a lot of respect for. What kind of plan is he going to have for that IU offense? And if he has a plan, like, will it even work? Like, will it slow him down at all?
Pick your poison, man. I mean, you stop the run, then now you've got to deal with Fernando Mendoza in that passing game. But I do think it starts with again. I think Indiana's offense, man, is my opinion. We were talking about this with some of these other really good offenses like the Tennessee and Josh Heupel and Lincoln Riley and USC, Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. These really good offenses that are score a lot of points and are a lot of fun to watch, I think is a misconception that they just throw the ball all over the yard. Every one of those teams and coaches I just mentioned, they run the piss out of it and run the football really well. Indiana's another one, dude. They run the football well. They get a lot of average yards per carry, and I think that kind of RPO game that they run, a lot of that is predicated off the fact that you've got to commit dudes in the box to stop the run because they run the football well.
Yeah.
And like Illinois last week couldn't stop anything. So if you can just stop their running game, then I think that at least gives you some sort of a chance to where maybe you can get some pressure and create some turnovers or something. The problem is, man, is just this Iowa defense for last year and so far this year is not the vintage Iowa defense, bro. It's just not. And I don't think that the casuals have caught on to that yet. I really don't. Like, I even see like Iowa accounts that we follow on X and stuff, like talking about that. Like the defense just hasn't been
Yeah.
as elite. Like you said last week, you got some likes on X for it. Like, what happened to my Iowa football that I
Yeah.
love, that I once loved? I mean, Rutgers last week, just going up and down. Rutgers is out there throwing just darts all over the field on the Hawkeyes. So they need the Phil
Magic.
Parker defense
Magic.
to show up. They
Yeah. Phil
need that
Parker
Iowa
magic.
City Hawkeye home game magic. They need to literally I see this tweet every year and I can't wait. I'm going to be sitting there possibly if it ends up happening. I'll be the one sitting there send it the first one to send it. When Iowa gets you in that just torture chamber and the saying is welcome to what is known as hell, otherwise known as Iowa football. That is what people will
Yeah.
tweet out.
Yeah.
Welcome to the hell known as Iowa football.
Yeah.
And that is what Iowa needs to do here, bro. They've got to muck this thing up so much, turn it into a punt fest and frustrate Indiana, make Indiana do things they're not like used to doing. Indiana's playing on schedule. They're super efficient on their offense. Make them inefficient. See how they handle a few 3 and outs. Like, that's what you got to do, man, for Iowa. Now, how do you
Yeah.
do it? Don't know. Don't know. And the
It
problem,
start.
the other,
I
go
think
ahead.
I think it starts on the offensive side of the ball. First, your offensive line's got to hold up against that defensive line from Indiana, in which we saw just wreak havoc on Illinois' offensive line last week. Gronowski, I mean, yeah, he's struggled a little bit. He struggled in the Iowa State game. He hasn't looked like as awesome, but like I think compared to past Iowa quarterbacks, looks to be the by far the most talented quarterback they've had in
Uh-huh.
a long time. And he has the potential, but the offensive line's got to hold up. I mean, the one thing you got to hope for is that it's the IU's first road trip of the season. Mendoza, first time he's going on the road in the Big Ten, right?
Yep.
Big thing for IU's defense is Lewis Moore. I don't know if you heard about this. The eligibility, yeah, he got it. They got an extension. Illinois was his last game he was eligible. He's trying to apply for a 6th year. I think he went to JUCO or whatever. He just got ruled eligible for the rest of the season. Tonight, as we're watching this, my dad sent me a text.
Oh, they're
And
leading
he's the lead,
tackler, leading interception. I did not know all that.
yeah,
About the
leading
eligibility stuff.
tackler, leading
Okay.
interceptions. Yeah, he was potentially not going to play this week, but they ruled
But
he's
he is
eligible for the rest
eligible.
of the season. Yeah, he's
Okay.
eligible. Yeah, so I just think it's just it's not going to happen for Iowa. I'm gonna. This is my first best bet of the episode. I'm never ever going to go against Signetti and the boys again. 7.5 seems way too low. It seems like they have a lot of respect for Iowa being that defensive program that you're talking about and really having a lot of low scoring games in the past. They can't get it out of their heads. They think, 3:30 kick, middle of the afternoon on Peacock. I'm just going to take Indiana to cover that 7.5 right now. I think it could get really ugly.
We're in lockstep, brother.
Yeah, I can't
I
believe it's as low as 7.5.
So I bet it at -7. Again, you know me, I'll risk a little bit of like I took it at -7, -115 before it jumped up
Yep.
to 7. When it was at 7 on my side, it was at -7, -115, which usually means
It might even still go back down too.
yeah, which means it normally goes up to 7.5 when it's
Mhm.
going that direction. So I took it then. I just honestly, man, I think it's the other side of the ball. I think that Bryant Haynes and that defense for Indiana is going to dominate Iowa's offense. I mean, that Indiana defense has dominated most offenses that they've played against, other than Ohio State and other than Indiana. But they kind of held their own against Notre Dame in that playoff game. But dude, I don't know how, other than Mendoza throwing a bunch of picks and Indiana having a bunch of turnovers, how Indiana will not move the football enough. Like, I could actually see in this game being ugly and Indiana winning like 20-6. You know what I mean? something
Mhm.
like that. Because I just don't think Iowa's going to be able to move the football in Indiana.
Yeah.
You're talking about the Iowa running game. Dude, Iowa hasn't run the football. Even last week against Rutgers, they didn't run the football well overall. They didn't run the football well against Iowa State. So I'm with you. I am taking Indiana in this game at -7 to -115 odds. I think Indiana's going to win. I think they're going to cover. And again, I think that Indiana's defense is going to just dominate this game. And Indiana wins by like at least, a couple scores.
Part two. Part two. Okay. If you missed the last episode, we are back with our upset alerts. We are 4 for 4 on the week. And we're going to do this real quickly because we gave them out last episode. I should make you guys go all the way back and watch that other episode and listen to it and fast forward to the hour mark.
But
But
we're the people's champ. We're the people's champ. We're here for the
yeah,
people. So I love it. Go ahead,
we'll hear
Tyler.
from you guys. We'll give it to you. So mine's really ugly. I'm taking UCLA on the money line against Northwestern and that
So ugly.
lakefront stadium in Chicago and Evanston. They're 6.5-point dogs, but I'm going to take one to win straight up. They're going to come out inspired. Nico's going to lead them to a W. We don't know who's the head coach. We joked it may be Big Nick, coaching the game there. But I mean, just probably talent wise, like these. I mean, you got to think UCLA's probably got more talent than Northwestern. So for them to be 6.5-point favorites is wild. But Virginia Tech lost their coach last week, and they went and they just whooped up on Wofford by 32. So maybe UCLA can do the same. 3:30 kick. I think they're going to get it done on Lake Michigan.
Did you know I told you before the episode started that, the dog might bark, Nellie might bark here in the background. She hasn't barked, but for the first time, she just jumped up here and started pawing me and
She
want me
knew
to
it.
pay attention to her. So the dogs are barking here on the upset alert pick. So you got UCLA plus 6.5 and
Money line, baby.
money line. All right. I got Pitt plus 4.5 as my upset alert against Louisville at home in the big mustard bottle. I think Pitt gets it done against Louisville and wins. Pitt's coming off a bye. The last time they played was their loss in the backyard brawl against West Virginia. This is Louisville's first road game of the year. I believe Louisville and Jeff Brom's last road trip that they had to Pitt, they lost. I think it was after actually they beat Notre Dame a couple years ago at Louisville. And then the next week they went on the road and lost at Pitt. I think Pat Narduzzi and Cade Bell and that Cade Bell offense and Eli Holstein, Desmond Reed at tailback. Yeah, I think Pitt gets it done and wins straight up against Louisville at home. So I'll take Pitt plus 4.5 and sprinkle a little on the money line as well. It's my upset alert pick.
And a little extra one here. And this isn't an official upset alert pick, but I just said, watch out for Oklahoma State. Hosting Baylor this week. They're 20.5-point underdogs. I don't know if I can say they're win straight up, but they may come out inspired, play for their coach. Coach Gundy got fired. He was there for 21 years. So they may come out inspired. We'll see. So keep an eye on that Baylor-Oklahoma State game. Best bets. I'm rocking a 15-10 record so far. I think that might be my best record since we started the pod through 4 weeks. Lance has got an 11-9 record right now. I've got 5 added best bets for the week so far. I'll tweet them out, on Saturday morning on X. Notre Dame, Arkansas over 62.5. Mentioned that on Sunday. Also mentioned on Sunday, Mississippi State plus 10.5, which is down to 7.5 right now.
Sharp.
Yep. So I got Mississippi State plus 10.5. USC, I took on last episode. I took them on the road at Illinois minus 6.5. And then just announced Indiana minus 7.5. So we're taking the powerhouse offenses on the road against those slogging defenses of the Midwest. So got those 4. I'm going to add one more here. I waited for this it's not really a key number or anything, but it just dipped down to 5.5. So I snagged it. Take the Gamecocks at home, minus 5.5 against Kentucky. I know Kentucky had a bye last week, but they're still Kentucky. I know South Carolina, is struggling this year. The whole state of South Carolina is really struggling this year. They've still got the better quarterback in this matchup. Okay. They still got the better quarterback. They probably have the better coach, if we're being honest. Defense is going to be really good. I think 5.5. I mean, if you would have looked at that line before the season started, where it would have been at, I mean, high teens, probably 17.5 or so. Now it's down to 5.5 because of the way the Gamecocks have looked. It's a lot of respect for the Wildcats. Maybe they make me look foolish, but I'm going to take South Carolina -5.5 as my final best bet of the week.
All right, man. I'm gonna give you a rundown here. I'm spraying the board this week. You sprayed it last week. I'm gonna spray it this week. I gave you Pitt +4.5 a minute ago. Sprinkle a little bit on the money line as well as my upset alert pick. The last episode, I actually first episode of the week, I gave this one out. I'm taking K-State, Kansas State, the Purple Cats, -6.5 at home against UCF. UCF's first road game of the year. Kansas State reeling a little bit, but hey, Chris Kleiman and the boys are money at home since he's been there. They're one of your better teams against the spread at home. They're coming off a bye. If not now, then when this year for Kansas State. So I think they get it done and cover the 6.5. Now let's run down the rest of them. I'm going to some action. I'm going to DeKalb. I'm going to back Northern Illinois +2.5 against San Diego State. The boys from San Diego, the Aztecs, are traveling from beautiful, sunny, just fantastic weather, San Diego to little old DeKalb, Illinois, in Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois has played a tough schedule so far, and now they get to get somebody at home in DeKalb. They're getting 2.5. I think they beat San Diego State straight up. San Diego State coming off a huge win against Cal last week.
Is that's a future? That's a future Mountain West. No, San Diego State's moving to the Pac-12, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That's a bummer. That's a bummer. We could have had a future Mountain West matchup there in Central Illinois.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm taking Northern Illinois +2.5 in that one. My next one, honestly, one of the better teams so far this year, quietly in the G5, has been the Mean Green of North Texas, Denton University. The North Texas Mean Green has been let's just call it, just clapping cheeks so far this year. Been tearing folks up. They get South Alabama, the Jaguars, coming to Denton at home. And I think North Texas just continues to do what they've done all year. I think they're going to see at that scoreboard how many lights it has in it and see how many points they can score. They're laying 12.5. That's fine. I'll take every bit of those 12.5. I'll take North Texas -12.5 against South Alabama. Next one, my spot game of the week. Memphis last week. My in-laws aren't going to like this. Memphis last week, huge win against Arkansas. Storming the field afterwards, beat an SEC opponent. Last year in this spot, Memphis went on the road and beat Florida State. Then the next week, they went on the road and they got pantsed by Navy. I checked the schedule immediately after they beat Arkansas and said, who does Memphis play next? They head on the road to beautiful Boca Raton, Florida, to play the Owls of Florida Atlantic and old Zach Kitley and Veltkamp as quarterback, who can light it up. FAU can't stop a nosebleed. I don't need him to stop a nosebleed. I just need him to slow Memphis down just a little bit and for Memphis to be a little bit sleepy and Florida Atlantic to light up the scoreboard. So I think Florida Atlantic at +14. Not saying they're going to win the game straight up. I just think Memphis is going to be a little sleepy, and I think Florida Atlantic covers the 14. I gave it out a minute ago. Notre Dame -4 against Arkansas at -115. I think the Irish get it done against the Hogs. Penn State. I am hitching my wagon to James Franklin in a bet. I'm betting my hard-earned money on James Franklin in a top 10 matchup to cover the -3 at -115 against Oregon. And then I've got Indiana, gave it out a minute ago. Indiana -7 at -115. So that's 8 best bets on the pod here that I've given out. And there might be more come Twitter time this Saturday. We'll see.
Just loads of content this week, man. I think this is the first time we've done 2 separate preview episodes
Ever.
In 1 week since we've done this podcast, some over 2 years ago. Was a blast. I cannot wait for this weekend. I cannot wait for Saturday. I'm going to really try to negotiate with my wife to be able to, park myself on the couch as much as I can and watch some games. So hope you guys are, we're ready for it too. Hope you guys are subscribed and followed. Obviously, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all that. X, Instagram, TikTok. We're always on there. We're going to be pumping out some prediction videos here for the next couple days. Yeah, man, I'm excited for football this weekend. So for Lance Barton, I'm Tyler Nohe. Take care. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you next time.